My goal as a talk show host is to try as best I can to get the listener to go, huh, I hadn't thought of that before. That for me is goal number one. Besides, always trying to be as entertaining as possible and things of that nature. But for me, I want to try to find an angle that hasn't been thought of yet. Well, a lot of the times I'm using analogies. I'm always using analogies. I'm trying to use real life analogies. I'm trying to connect to the regular Joe Schmo, because that's what I am. A lot of other shows out there will have athletes and former athletes and former coaches, and that is great because you get the coaches side of things, you get the athlete side of things, those are angles that listeners will go, I've never thought of that before. I've never thought of it from the listener angle, or I'm sorry, from the player angle or from the coach angle. Well, for me, just going up to the ranks as just a radio talk show host and not having any real background in athletics from a coach or an athlete standpoint. And now I have to relate it to Joe Schmo. I have to relate it to John Doe and if I can, Jane Doe too. So that's what I try to do. Make it relatable to the common man or woman, and do so with an angle that hopefully they haven't thought of yet.
What is your process like for finding that relatable angle?
A lot of trial and error. It's really tough to explain. Actually, there'll be a lot of times I'll call friends, or friends will call me. We have conversations that I'm basically trying out a private show on my buddy, even though he may or may not know it. Hey, it's almost like when Tiger's trying to, when Tiger's playing golf, isn't that great? It's more fun. It's kind of like the whole cut to the chase thing in a movie. Don't you love when people always say cut to the chase? Remember that Seinfeld episode? And I relate things to Seinfeld all the time, stuff like that. Where there's a cut to the chase episode. We like that. We like when when somebody cuts to the chase. When we get through all the fat and cut to the that's just one example that I use. Like, hey, there was a Seinfeld episode about this. You remember that? Well, you can relate that to XYZ in the sports world. And I'll try it on friends and go, does that sound right? What do you think about that? And if they're saying, that's stupid. Well, all right, let's try another one. But I do that sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does. Sometimes they just come off the top of your head while you're on the air, which are probably the more risky times. But whatever works, and a lot of stuff gets left on the cutting room floor. That's for sure.